How many times have you almost quit something, a goal, a challenge, not because it was a bad move, not because it was toxic, not because it was misaligned with where you want to be going in life, but because it wasn't working fast enough, because you couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel, because you weren't getting immediate gratification and big results right away, or because you weren't being validated enough by outside individuals. Be honest, because you know you're not the only one. We've all been there, probably hundreds of times. We all want to feel the win, the immediate results. We want to be the makeover story. And at the beginning, the most exciting part of making a goal or a new change is usually the results. We want to run boldly into the next chapter. But that's not usually how it works. Today, we're talking about how to keep going when it doesn't seem to be working at all. Welcome to the Bold Life School, the show that empowers you to elevate your life and to step into your full potential. I'm your host, Jameson, and this is where ambition meets authenticity, where you'll find the tools and inspiration to grow, evolve, and thrive. Each week, we dive into powerful topics that challenge the status quo, whether it's to break through limiting beliefs, navigate life's transitions, or embrace the bold moves that push you beyond your comfort zone. Now let's get into today's episode. So you're working towards a goal, but before we start talking about consistency, we need to make sure you're not climbing the wrong mountain. Not everything deserves endurance. Sometimes quitting is wisdom. Maybe you are where you are for the wrong reasons. Maybe you got talked into something. Maybe you're working on someone else's dream instead of your own. Maybe you fell into your current path and just kind of stayed there. Maybe you've had a change of heart and you're just done with what you've been told is smart, is safe, is the best bet. Maybe you're looking to make a huge redesign. No matter what the goal, here is the real question. Did you choose this path, the goal, the decision, the move, from conviction or from comparison, from passion or from fear? Did you really mean it when you say you wanted change, that you wanted this? Did you choose it from clarity or did you choose it from ego or from fear or on someone else's terms? Let's recalibrate. You're likely on the right path if what you're working on aligns with your values, if it stretches you from where you're at right now, if it scares you a little bit, but expands you in a good way, if it matches your long-term vision rather than your short-term moods or drives, if you choose it deliberately, if it's moving you towards your best self, a dream, your highest talents, or it's rooted in your greater purpose, your why for living. If some or most of those ideas are true, then what you're experiencing, trouble getting to the end, is probably not misaligned with the goal. You've just encountered the part where the talk meets the walk, where the rubber meets the road, where the work is actually hard and where the days feel long. It's the silent season. Most women quit their goal during the silent season. But the silent season is where you need to double down on the action required to start that slow climb towards your big, hairy, audacious goal. Whether it's losing a whole bunch of weight or being promoted, writing a book, becoming an influencer, no matter what it is, the silent season is where the hard and often lonely work takes place. It's part of the process. And it's the place most of us self-sabotage our own success. So why do we self-sabotage our success in the silent season? Well, we want proof. We want evidence. We want that dopamine hit that says, yes, you were right. We are amazing. We have results. And when it doesn't come, your brain starts whispering to you, oh, this must not be working. It's your inner critic stepping in to bring up all of those fears and self-doubt that kept you from getting going in the first place. Here's the important thing to know. You're addicted to validation. We all are. We've been trained for immediate feedback, likes, comments, promotions, sales, praise, performance reviews, rewards. And when there's silence, we interpret it as failure, lack of movement. And that's tired because we're in the hard season. But silence doesn't mean failure. Silence is where the mastery is built. It's where your new identity becomes future you. So think about the latest goal you've been working on, or maybe the last one that didn't pan out. You thought you wanted to do something, then you changed your mind, but you're still thinking about it. This time, though, it's from a feeling of dejection. All of those losses compiled on top of what you want now. Right? You say, oh, it's too hard. I've tried it before. I don't have time. I don't have patience. I don't have money. I don't have enough energy. Excuses, excuses, excuses. Our brains are really good at telling us to step away from the fire, from anything new. What you're talking about is doing something novel that requires change, that requires effort and challenge. But your reptilian brain feels a lot more comfortable in the safety of your quiet home with you doing nothing out of the ordinary. You're safe there where the status quo lives, and it doesn't put you in any danger. You're complacent, but you're also probably repeating the patterns that have kept you there, just where you are. Whether it's toxic or not, whether it's good but not great, it's very status quo. In fact, most likely, there is nobody sitting there to make you show up. You're just relying on your highest motivation levels to convince this reptilian brain, who's a big smack talker, that you can do this without any assistance. And that's hard. We start each day fresh with resolve, right? We've got this self-discipline to start off on the right track. But what happens is that the day goes long and our reserves, our discipline are depleted. It becomes harder and harder not to give in. So you're not alone. This is totally normal happening. At the same time, your mind is starting to turn on you, saying things like, I told you you couldn't do it. You're a loser. It's too hard. We'll start tomorrow. Things like that. We wonder why we quit. We wonder why we want to quit, why we can't do it all on our own, why we're such failures. But that is just the mind running amok. And the good news is when you start checking your mind, you learn to control it and you learn to control your outcomes. Control the mind, control your outcomes. The more prepared you are to encounter and turn away your inner critic, the better plan you have in place. The more accountable you are to the plan and the more support you have along the way, the more likely you are to keep going through this silent season. In other words, prepare for the worst. Your mind is powerful, sure, but not more powerful than you if you work at it. This is the work that we'll be doing in my upcoming mini course. It's a mini course where we build a strategic plan to get you going on your next level plan, to break through decision making, to break through into the next chapter of you. It incorporates one-on-one support from me. So you'll have 24/7 access to message me and to get feedback as you build this plan. So if you're ready for a transformation, go on my website and join the Red Chair Sessions waitlist. I'll provide the link in the show notes. Now, if you're only showing up when you're winning, when you're motivated, when you feel like it, or when you see the likes and the rewards, you're not building discipline for the silent season. You're building dependence on external factors over which you have little control. So when you ignore the negative self-talk and just keep taking steps forward, that's where the magic happens. Where new clients, where a promotion, losing the weight, starting your new side business, upgrading your finances, or reducing burnout is actually just around the corner. So the silent season is where you start to retrain your thoughts, retrain your mind to be built different, to stay focused in the face of obstacles, losses, loneliness, and struggle. This is where you become your future self. So, what do you do with this information? When you're spiraling, you can't trust your first instinct to shut down if you want to get to the end game. You need structure, a decision filter that grounds you instead of having you run away. You need something that says, okay, self, pause. We're not burning the house down today. We're not giving up. We're not shutting down. The 4 C's of consistency are the grounding filter that you can use to keep you standing firm in your resolve, to climb, to earn, to change, to grow, or whatever your next goal or vision is. And it starts with clarity. So one of the 4 C's of consistency is clarity. Why am I doing this? I feel like I'm always talking about clarity because it seems like indecision, the belief that you don't know what you want, is often one of the toughest parts about changing your life. People need to get clear first on what they actually want and then why. So go back to the beginning. Why did you start a new path or a new goal? Why did you decide to start something? Why did you decide to stop something or make a change? Ask yourself that. So we're not looking for the surface level reason. We want the real reason. What is driving this change in you? Why do you keep revisiting it? What pain have you been experiencing for too long? Often the light bulb moment that leads to decision to actually do a goal or to do actions to create the goal come when the pain of maintaining your life as is becomes worse than the pain of change. And only when people are willing, only then, when it is more painful to stay the same than it is to change, do people find the motivation to take action. You may need to ask yourself, why is it so painful? So get clear on why you want this change or goal. And if that reason is still true, don't abandon it because it's quiet. Write it down. Write down your why. One thing that can be helpful to get to the root of it is not to accept your first answer. Instead, you want to drill deeper and deeper down to the real reason, which drives your motivation for change. If you have trouble figuring out your why, you don't know really what is your internal motivation for something, that's something that I'm covering in my upcoming Red Chair Sessions mini course. It'll be a 7-day challenge that includes high-touch feedback. You can join the wait list. It's in the show notes. Now, if you already have clarity, you know your why, you're good, and your why hasn't changed, then you need to take a little breather. Stop freaking out. Even if you made some mistakes, relapses, or feel behind in your goal, like we all do, that's not the end. Consistency is just about getting back up and continuing on your journey, evidence there or not. So getting clarity on what you want and why it's really valuable to you is the first step. But it's still about an idea at this point. The second C of consistency is about commitment, bringing your idea into reality. And this is where you have to get ruthless. So in terms of that goal you were thinking about, how long did you actually commit to the path of change? 3 weeks? 6 posts? 1 quarter? Be honest. Did you maybe not have a specific commitment tied to time or behaviors? You can't plant a seed and then dig it up every day or week to check if it's growing. At some point, you have to set the milestones in place so you can focus on the work, the action, and the efforts. And measuring your incremental results comes later. So, an important part of getting through the silent season of your goal is to pre-decide your plans and commit to just that. So maybe that sounds like, I will execute such and such for 90 days. I'll publish weekly for 6 months. I'll pursue this leadership strategy for 1 full cycle. I'll commit to reaching out to this many possible project collaborators. Then, whatever you've decided, write that down and stop evaluating it daily. Stop evaluating your results daily. Instead, start evaluating your behaviors, the actions that you're doing to reach the next milestone. Making a commitment to yourself eliminates daily drama of, well, I don't know, am I getting there? Am I doing anything? I can't tell. It gives you permission to stop worrying or stressing or doubting the larger outcomes, because all you have to do is keep focusing on the work, the behaviors, and the action that you're supposed to be doing today that then go back and align with your reason for doing this goal in the first place. When you focus on the work rather than constantly worrying about the future outcome, you can transfer the feeling of winning to what you're winning at on a daily basis, rather than constantly measuring where you're at right now against some further away result or end game. Essentially, you need to get into the journey that you've committed to. Enjoy the burn of climbing, experiencing what it means to day in and day out do the tasks, to check off your to-do list. So now you're in the work. You're focused on the journey, on the behaviors and actions that you need to just repeat to get to the next milestone. It's not a total ticket to just stop looking at your results. There's always room for fine-tuning or recalibration of how you're going about your actions and determining the effectiveness of those efforts. This is where you look for what's working versus what's not working and recalibrate to maximize your results. Not with emotional energy, though, but with scientific, intellectual energy, with observation and self-reflection, with truthfulness. Are you tracking inputs? Or are you just obsessing over results or lack of results? Your inputs and outputs don't always work in a one-to-one manner. Sometimes your results lag. That's reality. Instead, you want to look at the behavioral data to make adjustments as necessary. So, an example is that you're working on losing weight because you want to be more healthy. You're not looking at how much you weigh now versus how much you want to weigh in the end. You're looking at how the effects of what you're doing today are having on your end goal. So if you're walking 20 minutes a day and you're feeling better, you have more energy, your pants are getting a little loose around the midsection, that's good data to track. You're asking yourself things like, am I showing up consistently with my commitment? You're refining based on that information. Are you improving your skills? Are you expanding your network? Are you building muscle? Are you learning from misses or mistakes? Or are you just waiting for the results to validate you? Are you getting messy? Are you showing up half time? Calibration just means that you're looking at the data, you're tracking your actions, your behaviors, and you're making smart adjustments, not emotionally based, last minute, in the moment types of adjustments. You don't burn the house down just because you had a bad day. You inspect the wiring. You see what could be optimized for better results. You see some of the issues that are getting in your way, and so on. So we have the 4 C's. The first of the 4 C's: clarity, commitment, calibration, and the fourth is character. Who am I becoming? So what we're trying to do is to stop looking outside of ourselves to validate our results. We want to lean into the internal transformation that is going to be a key part of becoming a person that has achieved that goal, those results that you want. So what is that person like? What is that future of you like? More disciplined, decisive, resilient, self-trusting, strategic, confident? If you can answer that, yes, I am becoming stronger, a better person along the way, if the answer is yes, then you know you're on the right path, just not in a way that obviously feeds your ego. And the woman you're becoming is far more valuable than just one viral moment. Your character, your identity is compounding underneath the behaviors that you're doing every day, even when you're not hearing applause. And all of this takes place during the silent season. Most women don't fail because they're incapable or because they're less than. They fail because they stop too early. They quit in discomfort. They pivot in insecurity. They abandon the process for immediate relief. And they tell themselves, oh, it wasn't aligned. I'll start again someday. I'm just too busy right now, making excuses. Sometimes it's true, but sometimes you just didn't stay long enough to see the results. Leadership, self-leadership requires the tolerance of ambiguity, to not see the magic that's going to happen down the road while you're putting everything together, while you're building and flying the plane. It requires self-trust to continue to build without any applause. It requires believing in yourself before proof, before the accolades start coming in, before the sales. That is maturity, and that is next level consistency. That is next level success. So when you feel like quitting, ask yourself, am I trying hard enough? Do I have clarity on this and why I'm doing it? What commitments have I made to carrying out this goal? How much energy am I putting into calibrating my day-to-day activity around this goal? And character, who am I becoming as a person? How am I becoming stronger as a person? Then decide from power whether you want to quit rather than panic. If you are in a quiet season right now, I feel you. I'm going through my own quiet season right now. If it feels like nothing's happening, if you're tempted to pivot again, I want you to consider this. What if this is the phase that separates women who dabble from women who build? What if the silence is actually strengthening you? What if the real flex is staying and not giving up? Not blindly, not stubbornly, but deliberately, because you have clarity, you have commitment, you're calibrating your activity, and you're building character. Run yourself through that filter before you quit. And then, if it's aligned, stay. Stay long enough to see what you're capable of, to hold yourself to your commitments. Because bold women don't need constant applause. They need endurance. And you have more of that than you think. If you enjoyed today's episode, head over to theboldlife.coach for more resources, join our community, and start living your boldest life today.